Hello everyone. Today I'm going over the Mega Beach full set. I mostly will be focusing on the cards that actually do something, although I will address every card. So, Wurmple. Uh, it's a Wurmple. 60 HP makes it weak to Dragapult. But, it's there. Silcoon. Interesting ability. Might actually let it work, however, the problem is that a lot of decks can accelerate energy pretty well, and the ones that don't generally don't need that much. The beautiful the Beautifly doesn't really do. It's mostly relevant in context with the Dusknox, which does the energy return to hand thing, which is very interesting to have this on something that can just sit on your bench. So you could theoretically set up like three of these and just have them launch cards up into their hand or whatever to disrupt them or hit them with Beautifly. I don't think that that'll be good enough. And okay, that Cascoon's attack is actually kind of horrible. But oh well, being able to set it up with Silcoon is good enough, I think. Of course, you can use uh, the Grass Supporter to just evolve them up instantly in one turn, so you can probably set up multiple at once if you have the cards for that. However, you probably won't have enough draw to actually make proper use of that. So I don't think it'll be anything more than a rogue deck, but could happen. And I guess it's all the grass types. Not a big set, I don't think. Anyways, Entei. Okay, yep, that's very standard for that. It'll likely be put into a starter deck at some point, and that is about the sum total of what it'll be good for. The Newell's ability is actually kind of interesting. However, it does feel like it kind of I don't like it much just because you have to have something that hits Newell that has enough health to be relevant that also doesn't already get one shot by basically everything. So what I'm getting at with this is yeah, like 80 health is good. Retreat cost is horrible, but it's a Newell. You kind of expect that over time. But like with the burning grill, like sure, that's nice with the burn, and I'm sure that it's okay with the Newell, but not great. And I don't think there's any consistent way to apply burns right now. I'd have to look, but I don't think that the payoff is enough to justify it. And if you are, you probably just want to play the Camerupt DX instead. That's all the fire types. Okay. Snorunt, 70 HP. That's nice. I don't know if it's better than the current Snorunt that gets used, but that 70 HP is definitely relevant. Mega Frostlass. Uh, yeah, that is a lot of damage actually on that first attack. I, it's kind of hard to be able to do that consistently long term at least because Judge only gets 4, which is 200, which isn't the most relevant number out there. On top of that, like full depth even full deck Ionos only gets you to 6, which is 300, which wouldn't even knock out itself or most other megas. It wouldn't knock out the basic megas at least, which is good. However, that is only for the first prize. And second attack is pretty irrelevant, but it does at least do something. And having a sleep for an out, especially with water, where you can do stuff like Baxcalibur and stuff, that can be pretty nice. All right, so ends Vanillite. Call for family. Yep. Okay, that's 2 on your bench. That seems okay. That's an okay attack. However, I think in the current metagame, it's a bit too slow because it doesn't disrupt your opponent or speed up you setting up your Pokemon. It just kind of works like a buddy buddy Poffin a lot of the time, which is fine. And because you can't really justify searching for like EXs with it, for example, because well, ability EXs, so you're stuck setting up for other evolution Pokemon, and then you're going to run into issues with not being able to draw enough cards and all that stuff. Okay, that's pretty standard. Oh yeah, and the 60 HP is of course a liability. Anyways, yeah, that sure is a vanilla. Second attack is somewhat nice if they have a high retreat cost Pokemon, but realistically, you don't really want to be in that situation. Now, Layered Snow, I do actually like that one a fair bit. So, doubling damage counters each opponent's Pokemon. Unfortunately, it is on a stage 2. Like, if this was on a stage 1, this would be absolutely insane. And most of the ways you can cheat out stage 2 Pokemon aren't fast enough, so you can't really do that. Blizzard is pretty bad, but it's a one prize, so it's not exactly the most surprising thing I've ever seen. Snom, okay, it's a Snom, 50 HP. That's not great, but it's fine. Frostmoth, oh, that's horrible. What? Yeah, no, that's really bad actually. The second attack you can mate. The attack you can might existing a starter deck mirror match, but that's about as far the sum total of how that would work because like 110 is not a lot of health, 90 is not a lot of damage. Being able to save one energy isn't that relevant for especially water, which has so much energy acceleration. So you don't really need any help with that. Glastrier, first attack's pretty useless. Second attack, it's a little hard for a one body. And the downside isn't that horrible. However, there's just a lot better cards to be using rather than Glastrier. Alright, so that's the end of the water. So now we're into electric. So, Leoptile is 70 HP, 2 energy attack, so that's basically unusable. Play Canary. I think Canary is a searcher deck for electric Pokemon, in which case I really don't think that matters. Coin Flippy second attack, Coin Flippy attack that doesn't even like Coin Flip for that much. Like if that number was 100, that could be really good. But 70 just you can't really assume that you'll hit a high enough number until you get like 7 or 8 energies on it, and then anything can do that with that much energy. Mega Electros. Alright. Split 60 into bench Pokemon. That's pretty good, but a bit weird because there's worse versions of that attack that don't see any play. I think there's an Ambipom that does that exact thing. Second attack, okay, that's pretty good. Having an option to discard to paralyze is really good because you don't really want to be discarding energies every time and get like if this attack's at whatever 190 damage, discard 2 energies, your opponent's active Pokemon's not paralyzed. You would more often than not be wasting that, so it's really not that useful. Stunfisk. Uh, that's that. Okay, that's funny. That's a lot of effects on that card. There's a few rogue decks that can really use like 1 energy, 30 damage if you have a lot of damage amplification. And being able to trap something is really nice in decks that rely heavily on Latias. But I'm not fully certain. It probably won't be. You probably won't see much play, but I could imagine that you could build a deck around it if you really tried. Tapu Koko. Use attacks first turn. Draw cards. I mean, I think it's a little better than the what was it, the Glastrier, but it's for electric. So I think electric has enough Pokemon that it really wants on its bench that it probably can't do that. Well, that's 10 minutes, so I believe I will be back very shortly with the second part of this. Thanks. Bye.